Hey gang, and welcome back. Just a reminder, you can now use the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, at flipsidegaming.com. You'll get 10% off orders over $10 and help with the channel at the same time. Additionally, Flipside Gaming is going to be giving away a box of Battle Bond to celebrate my 20,000 subscribers. For entry, all you have to do is use the promo code MTGMudsta on any order over $10 and you'll be entered to win. You can do multiple entries for each time you use the promo code. The time frame for this giveaway is between June 1st and June 30th, with the drawing happening in July. This week's game takes place in Montreal, which by the time you're watching this probably means that I'm in Montreal as well. That means you can probably find me at Gamerz Co-Op, L'Expedition, or La Biste at some of the points during the week. This week's game has me playing Dralnu, and I keep a hand with Sunken Hollow, Vault of Whispers, Swiftfoot Boots, Forbidden Alchemy, Deep Analysis, Rhystic Study, and Torment of Hailfire. Kevin is playing good old Gonti and keeps 3 Swamps, Magus of the Will, Merciless Executioner, Liliana of the Dark Realms, and Kukusho. Dario is playing his Adun Oakenshield and keeps in with Polluted Delta, Sylvan Library, 3 Visits, Command Tower, Cabal Coffers, Pajuka Bog, and Damnation. Chris, who runs the channel over at BT Game Night, is playing his Titania deck and keeps in with 2 Forest, Zenderkar's Royal, Llanowar Elves, Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, Blighted Woodland, and Mwynvali Acid Moss. Dario wins the die roll and starts us off. Dario plays a Polluted Delta, passing turn. Chris plays a Forest and casts a Llanowar Elves. Kevin plays a Swamp and passes. I play a Tap Sunken Hollow, and Dario cracks a Polluted Delta to find an overgrown tomb. Dario plays a Command Tower and casts Sylvan Library. Chris plays a Forest and casts Kadama's Reach to find a Forest for the field and a Forest to his hand. Kevin plays a Modest Swamp and passes to me. I play a Vault of Whispers, passing to Dario. Dario uses his library trigger, but doesn't take an extra card. He then casts a 3 Visits, and goes to find a Taiga. Dario then drops a Pajuka Bog for his turn, exiling Chris's graveyard. Dario then casts Soul Ring, and yeah, that's a lot of ramp. Chris plays a Forest for his turn, and casts Zenderkar's Royal. Kevin plays a Swamp for his turn, and casts Burnished Heart. Goodness, I love that card. I draw for my turn, and lacking a land to play, I discard Deep Analysis. Dario uses his library again, but doesn't keep any extras. He plays a Cabal Coffers, which doesn't tap for all that much, and Dario casts a Sneak Attack. I counter it with Arcane Denial for obvious reasons, and Dario passes. Dario draws 2 while Chris and I draw 1. Chris plays a Blighted Woodland and gets a Royal trigger, which we represent with a Wolf token. Chris then casts Mwynvali Acid Moss and blows up Dario's Command Tower. Chris grabs another Forest, gaining another Wolf/Elemental token, and passes to Kevin. Kevin moves to combat on his turn and hits Dario for 2. He then pays 3 to sacrifice the Burnished Heart and finds 2 Swamps from his library, putting them to the field. I draw for turn and wonder what it's like to have lands. I flash back Deep Analysis, drawing 2 more and losing some life. I then move and discard 3 cards, and I pass to Dario. Dario uses his library again, keeping only 1. He plays a Windswept Heath in his main phase, and cracks it to find a Stomping Ground, taking 3 total to have it come into play untapped. Dario then casts a Natali and passes to Chris. Chris drops a Nykthos but forgets his Royal trigger until he casts Wood Elves, remembering it as he goes to grab a Forest. Kevin plays a Cabal Stronghold, which kind of pales in comparison to the foiled out Cabal Coffers sitting across from him. He casts Merciless Executioner and levels the playing field, forcing Dario to sacrifice a Tally and Chris to sacrifice Wood Elves. Kevin then sacrifices the Executioner itself, and he then casts Magus of the Will, passing to me. I draw for my turn, and how many cards is this so far without a land? I discard a Crystal Shard, and I pass turn. Dario continues to use his library trigger conservatively, keeping no extra cards. He plays a Swamp, and casts Olivia Voldaren. At the end of Dario's turn, Chris sacrifices his Blighted Woodlands to get 2 more Forests, and I help him with his Royal triggers. Chris casts Titania in his main phase, bringing back the Blighted Woodland. He misses a Royal trigger, but does cast a Soul Ring. Chris then passes to Kevin. Kevin casts a Liliana of the Dark Realms, and I respond by casting a Thought Scour. I mill myself for 2 lands, and am not surprised with my luck. Kevin then upticks her and grabs a Swamp. He plays the Swamp to rub it in, and casts Dance of the Dead, targeting his Merciless Executioner as it enters. To shortcut, Kevin just puts the dance into his bin, and responding to the trigger, Dario kills Chris's Llanowar Elves with Olivia as she's on her way out. Chris then sacrifices an Elemental token, and we move to my turn. I find an island, finally, and cast Rhystic Study. Oh god, why am I using this game? Dario pays 4 life to keep an extra card this time. He plays a Misty Rainforest and casts a Living Death, not paying the extra 1. All the creatures come in, and Kevin's triggers go off first. In response to the Merciless Executioner's trigger though, Dario pings the Executioner, and Kevin has to sacrifice the Burnished Heart. Dario then sacrifices Olivia, and Chris sacrifices the Wood Elves while going to find a forest. Chris sacrifices the Blighted Woodland again to go and find 2 more forests, gaining 2 more elementals from the Royal trigger, and Dario then passes turn. Chris casts an Acidic Slime in his main phase and lets me draw a card. He blows up Dario's Soul Ring. Chris then activates Nykthos for 5 green mana and taps 2 lands to recast Titania. I draw once more, and Chris brings back his Blighted Woodland again for what must be the 3rd time? Moving to combat, Chris swings 2 elementals to kill Liliana and 1 at me for 2 damage. Kevin pays 6 mana for Demon of the Dark Schemes in his main phase, and I forget to draw a card. The demon kills 6 of Chris's creatures, and Kevin gains 6 energy. Kevin then pays 3 mana and 4 energy to bring back the Merciless Executioner, and with the Executioner ability on the stack, Chris sacrifices the Blighted again to go and find 2 more forests and gains 2 more elementals. Everyone who can sacrifices a creature, and Kevin gains 3 more energy from the creatures dying and passes to me. I play an Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, which helps Dario more than it does me. I then cast Frantic Search, drawing 2 and pitching 2 while untapping my 3 lands. I then cast Fabricate and make a quick shortcut announcing I'm finding and casting Soul Ring, then using the Soul Ring to cast a Mind Stone. I then go search my library for all that stuff, and at the end of my turn, Dario cracks his Misty Rainforest to go and find a Bayou. Dario is back to keeping only 1 again, and he plays a Diamond Valley in his main phase. He's then able to activate his Cabal Coffers for 8 black mana. Dario then casts a Rune-Scarred Demon and gets to go tutor for a card, and I realize he didn't pay the 1 extra for it, so I draw a card as well. Dario finds his card, and then casts Zealous Conscripts, stealing Kevin's Demon. He didn't pay 1 extra for it, so I get to draw again. Dario then moves to combat, and swings the Demon and the Conscripts at Kevin for 8. In Dario's second main phase, he sacrifices the Demon for 5 life to the Diamond Valley and passes to Chris. Chris plays an Encroaching Wastes, gaining another elemental token from the Royal. He then moves to combat and swings the Titania token and Titania herself at Kevin for 10. Chris then casts Hour of Promise in his second main phase, paying the extra 1, and goes to find 2 lands. He grabs a Thespian Stage and a Dark Depths. He gets another 2 elemental tokens, and then casts a Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, paying the 1 extra for that as well. Kevin activates his Cabal Stronghold for 6 mana, and uses 1 of it to cast Innocent Blood. He doesn't pay 1, so I draw while Dario and Chris sacrifice a creature. Kevin then casts a Yawgmoth's Will, and I draw from it. Kevin then recasts Innocent Blood, and Dario and Chris sacrifice a creature again. Kevin then brings out Dance of the Dead, paying the 1 from his graveyard to bring back Dario's Rune-Scarred Demon. Kevin then gets to tutor for a card which he immediately plays, and this time he gets a Cabal Coffers. He activates it for 8 black mana, and recasts the Demon of the Dark Schemes, but denies me the draw. The demon enters and kills more of Chris's elementals, giving Kevin more energy. I play a High Market for my turn and bring out Swarm Intelligence before passing to Dario. Dario activates his Cabal Coffers and uses some of the mana to cast Skyshroud Claim in his main phase, grabbing 2 forests. He doesn't pay 1 extra for it, and I get to draw. Dario then casts Damnation to wipe the board, and Chris floats some of the green with Nykthos before the board wipe resolves. Dario passes, and Chris uses the mana before the change of phase to remove some counters from Dark Depths. Chris plays a land for turn, and misses his Royal trigger. He then pays enough mana to recast Titania, which is like 12 when you factor in the extra 1 for the Study trigger. He returns Blighted Woodland, which is doing so much good stuff for Chris right now. He remembers his Royal trigger this time, and we see the wolf impersonating the elemental come in. Chris then sacrifices his Encroaching Wastes to destroy Kevin's Cabal Coffers, and gains a 5/3 elemental token from Titania with a land dying. Kevin draws for turn, and plays Reliquary Tower, which kind of pales in comparison to his Cabal Coffers. Kevin then activates the Cabal Stronghold for 6 mana and casts Kakusho. He also has enough mana to cast Attrition and has that 1 critical black mana open still, passing to me. I realize he didn't pay 1 extra for the Attrition, and I draw a card. I play an island for my turn, and I cast Catalyst Stone. I then cast High Tide, which I get a copy of thanks to Swarm Intelligence, making my islands tap for 3. I then cast Windfall, along with its twin copy from the Swarm Intelligence, and we discard our hands and draw 6. No one has an instant that they want to cast, so we dump our hands again, and then draw another 6 for the copy. I then cast Dimir Signet, and cast Snapcaster Mage, putting the flashback target on Frantic Search, which only costs 1 cool blue. I cast it, gaining a copy of it, and I get to draw 2 and discard 2, then untap 3 lands. I untap 2 islands in the Sunken Hollow, floating 8 blue and 1 black mana, and move to resolve the copy. I then untap the same lands after drawing and discarding, and I cast a Mana Vault. I then use a lot of mana to cast Rise from the Tides, gaining 18 zombies from the original spell, and a further 18 zombies from the second copy, for a total of 36 zombie tokens. I then pass to Dario. Dario plays an Arid Mesa in his main phase, and looks through his graveyard. He activates his Cabal Coffers for 11 black mana, which he uses some of to help cast Woodfall Primus. He puts the target on my Swarm Intelligence, and I respond to the trigger on the stack by delving away part of my graveyard to cast Dig Through Time, gaining a copy of it as well. I resolve the first one, keeping 2, and then resolve the second one. Unfortunately, I can't find an answer, and the Primus trigger resolves. Dario then casts Eldritch Evolution on his Woodfall Primus. The Primus comes back and targets Kevin's Attrition, at which point Kevin sacrifices Kakusho to kill Titania and drains everyone for 5 while gaining Kevin 15. With Kevin's trigger on the stack though, Chris uses his Thespian Stage to copy the Dark Depths, which he sacrifices to the Legendary Clause, gaining another 5/3 Elemental and a Merit Lage token. Dario then goes to tutor from his library and finds an Eternal Witness. He returns Living Death to his hand, and then sacrifices the Woodfall Primus to Diamond Valley. Then, using his remaining floating black mana from Cabal Coffers, Dario casts Living Death, and we all return all creatures in the graveyard to the field, and put all the creatures on the field to the graveyard. Notably, Dario is able to bring back Kiki-Jiki and Zealous Conscripts, which all but seal out the game. Kevin does get to put his triggers on the stack first, and normally Demon of the Dark Schemes would be able to kill Kiki-Jiki, but Dario goes infinite with Kiki and Zealous before the trigger hits. His massive army of Zealous Conscripts might only be 1/1s, but there's about 1,000 of them for each of us, and Dario is able to kill us as he moves to combat. Game review time. My goodness, it is ridiculous how few lands I drew that game. I run 37 and a ton of mana rocks, and I was so struggling with mana until I was able to high tide twice. Dralnu, I don't know why you gotta play me like that, but please, please forgive me. Kevin's Gonti deck this game played more of a defensive role, which is a bit out of character for it. He basically had to deal with a lot of the threats on the board, and basically spent most of his mana each turn doing just that. He could never really establish himself or forward his board state until too late. On the flip side, Dario kept dropping threat after threat. He had tons of momentum, either from card draw or ramp, and was able to basically play whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. His deck plays mostly like Jund Goodstuff, with Aiden in the command zone as a way to recur creatures that he would otherwise need for his combos. Chris's Titania deck is fantastic, and what I love about EDH is you can sit down, have 4 players play the same commander, and chances are they'll have a bunch of different cards in each other deck. I'd never even considered cards like Monvali Acid Moss or Zendikar's Royal, but after seeing how they performed in Chris's deck, I'm strongly considering adding them to my own. I will say that I think probably Chris could have afforded to be a bit more aggressive, and he did miss a few triggers, which probably would have helped him out in the long run. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/MTGMudsta. And lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/MTGMudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.